Well, everyone, they have done it. Level 5 is making a new Layton game this year, presumably this year. We think it's coming out this year. And, well, I am excited. I don't know about you, but I am very, extremely excited. I think it's going to be great. It looks lovely. The animation's lovely. The puzzles look great. Layton and Luke look adorable. The setting and plot intrigue me. I'm very excited. And there's one thing I do when I get excited. If there's one thing I do, it's to make horrible slideshows and share them with the world. So I made this terrible, horrible, no good, very bad slideshow of my predictions for New World of Steam, and I'm going to share it with you because if any of these come true and I didn't put it anywhere that I called it, I would be so mad, like furious. So I'm just putting out all my wildest predictions in hopes that one of them might come true. Who knows? Before we get started, absolutely astronomical spoiler warning for every Layton game ever. Like I'm talking the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, the Mystery Room, I guess. I haven't played it, or Lady Layton, I guess also spoilers for that, maybe. I mean, I haven't played either of those, but just spoilers for anything Layton related at all. If you're sensitive to that, or if you don't want to know spoilers, then I do not recommend watching this. So it can't just be a normal prediction slideshow. It's got to be bingo, or I guess bison in this case. It could have very easily been Steam, like Steam, but it's bison. So these are my New World of Steam plot predictions. You may notice that they are all different colors, and that is because I have a color scale based on what I want to happen most to least. Colors that are dark blue, like this, are the things I want to happen most. Then cyan, green is like middle of the road, like I wouldn't be mad if this happened, like this could be cool. Yellow is like, okay, and then orange is stuff that I just don't want to happen. And then you might notice that they also have numbers in parentheses next to them. That is because I also have a number scale based on what I think will actually happen, like what I think level 5 could actually do. This is less accurate because I don't know level 5. I haven't met them personally. I don't know what they could do. But like 1 to 5 is like, okay, yeah, this could happen. This is probably going to happen at some point. 6 to 10 is likely, I guess. I mean, I guess they could do this if they stretch their little imaginations enough. 11 to 15 is possible with a question mark after it. Like I suppose they could do this. It would really take me by surprise though. And 16 to 20 is a reach. There's no way they're doing this. Like it's impossible. I'd be so happy if they did, or in some cases, I wouldn't actually be happy about it, but you may notice that all the ones I really want are really high up on the number scale because I have unrealistic expectations. But once again, before we get started, just a little disclaimer. These are just my ideas and theories, and it's okay if you don't like them. Like, some of these things I don't like, that's why they're orange, but I'll probably love the game even if, like, none of the things that are blue come true. It'll probably be lovely no matter what, and I'm actually really excited to hear you all talk about, like, your own theories and ideas in the comments if you'd like. So, without further ado, let's get into our first row. First up on our first column, I guess, we have Layton having no clout becomes a plot point at cyan level of me wanting it and a point value of 12. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, in the level 5 Vision 2023, they revealed that whenever they're talking about the game and stuff, they talk about how in America, Layton's just an anonymous gentleman, whatever that means, and like no one knows who he is. And that Luke actually is quite popular due to his reputation as Detective Luke, which is a kind of a cute role reversal situation from the previous games. It actually kind of reminds me of Last Spectre, where they're in Miss Tollery, and Luke is kind of the one that knows what's going on, is leading the investigation. But in the other games, he's not exactly like a helpless little kid, but he sort of is. Like, Layton's obviously the one who knows what's going on and has all the information about what's happening, or they're figuring out together. So it's really nice to see Luke be able to take the lead, and that could lead to a lot of really cute and possibly humorous interactions between the two. And one way that they could use Layton having no clout becoming a plot point is like, what if something dangerous happens and like Luke can't go out for whatever reason? Like, for here I have, hello, I'm an anonymous English gentleman who's not suspicious at all, not related to that teenager you have placed a bounty on the head on for I don't know why the government would have placed a hit on him, but they did it to Layton, they could do it to Luke. And I don't know, I'm just getting vigilante vibes from Luke, so I feel like if something dangerous happens and he has to like go undercover for for a time. This is stupid. Then like maybe Layton could be the one to like go out and gather information and stuff because no one knows who he is and everyone knows who Luke is. So if stuff goes down, then Layton could be the one to kind of take charge in that regard. But just any way they could use this would be great. I think it's interesting how they made a point to point it out in like the 3 minutes of talking we got about it. So I'm thinking it's going to be a really important facet in their dynamic, and I'm actually really excited to see it. Next up, we have Luke made it up slash there is no mystery at green with a point level of 16. Now, what I mean by this is, wouldn't it be just hilarious if, since Luke's letter is the inciting incident for this whole thing, he sends Layton the letter at the end of Unbound Future and is like, hey, can you come over? Can you come help me with this? And wouldn't it be so funny? Wouldn't it be hilarious if there just wasn't a mystery and Luke completely fabricated it? If he just like either he set up like some elaborate Clive level scheme to make it seem like there's a mystery but there's really not, or he like just completely made it up and is like, oh, I hope something scary and dangerous happens while the professor's on his way over here so I don't look like an absolute liar. And why he would do this is just he just wants to see his friend again, man. He's so lonely without Layton. It would not surprise me at all if he was just like, okay, I gotta get the professor over here somehow, but I can't exactly like just send him a letter saying, hey, I'm real lonely. Can you come over and keep me company? No, that's lame. I don't want this to happen exactly because it would be kind of lame if like that was the whole plot twist. But it could be funny as like a that's what originally was going to happen, but then like an actual mystery happened. Like Luke was planning on fabricating it, but then something actually did happen. So I don't want this to be the whole story. I don't want this to be the whole idea, but I do think it would be hilarious. Next up, we have Emmy. Just in general, just Emmy in general at blue, which means I really, really, really want it. And then 18 at a I don't think they'll do it. And Emmy is a very, very popular character in the Layton franchise. She's from the prequel trilogy, if you don't know. She kind of fills Flora's role, I guess. She's like Flora if she was awesome, I guess. And she's like super popular, like insanely popular. Everyone loves her for good reason. She's amazing. She's really badass. She fights. She's also just hilarious in general. She Everyone loves her, okay, is the point, and including Luke and including Layton. And she was okay. This is where the spoilers for Asmund Legacy come in, so close your ears. She actually betrays Layton and Luke at the end of Asmund Legacy, or towards the end. She threatens Luke's life to get Layton to give over like the mystical artifact or whatever they need to unlock the Asmund Legacy. I have not played the game. I have only watched playthroughs, so like take everything I say with a grain of salt. But like to my knowledge, I don't think that like it's ever brought up again. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think that like she ever apologizes to Luke. I don't think that she. I mean, there is that really sweet cutscene with her and Layton in the end, where she's like, okay, I'm leaving, but I'll come back once I'm worthy enough to be your assistant again, like kind of passes that role on to Luke, which is great, which is sweet. But like, I feel like they should have done more. Her plot twist wasn't very well pulled off. I feel like it was either mostly for shock value or because they didn't have an excuse for why Emmy wouldn't be in the original trilogy, so they needed to get her to go away. Which I like the plot twist. I think it's cool. I think it adds a lot to her character, but it would be great if like there was a second part of her arc where what if now she decides that she is worthy enough to be Layton's assistant and she goes back and helps him with the stuff in New World of Steam. I'd love that, and it would like give a lot more depth to her and Luke's relationship as well, which is one of my favorites. I'll talk about this more on a later slide. I have another returning character that I think she could pair well with. So I want her in the game. I don't know what I want her to do. She could be like a side character. She could be one of our party members. She could be anything. I think she could walk on screen and the entire fandom would explode. Our next box is one of Luke's friends is a traitor at Cyan with an 11. Now, this slide is only like tangentially related because I couldn't think of like a way to visually represent this, but like Luke mentions that he's all settled in and making new friends at the end, which, by the way, I do not believe him for a second. Have you seen how this boy is? There's no way. He's so bad at talking to other kids. There's no way that he's made friends with, like, other teenagers, unless he's talking about, like, the animals or Coindar, I guess. There's no way he has friends. But however, if he does somehow, by some stretch of the imagination, have friends, this is not me bashing him, this is just me thinking he's an awkward little guy. If by some stretch of the imagination he does actually have friends, what if one of them turned on him? Because, Luke has a history of his friends turning on him. It happened with Emmy. It kind of happened with Layton, like, he felt, like, prematurely betrayed by Layton in Unwound Future. And then, ultimately, like, Clive very much betrayed him. Like, it happens to him every single game. Even, like, in Last Spectre, his dad didn't actually do anything, but he thought he had. He thought his dad was locking his mom in the root cellar, but he actually wasn't. So Luke just has a history of being betrayed, and I think it would be great if we just continue that tradition and keep beating up on this little boy, because, he cannot have anything nice under my watch. I also just think it would be interesting to see teenager versus teenager, like, drama. I don't know, maybe it's the mean girls in me, but I don't know, I want other kids to be important like they were in Last Spectre. Like, that's the most important that children have ever been in Layton. And considering one of the two main characters is a literal child, it's kind of insane that we haven't gotten anything else where it's like the kids are actually important. And I feel like in New World of Steam, with Luke being kind of the main character in quotation marks, it would be so easy to have other kids be important to the plot and have, like, Luke's classmates and his friends be important. I'll talk about this more later, but I don't know. They could be a traitor, they could actually just be nice. Other teenagers could show up on screen and ask Luke how he's doing with his group project once, and I'd be happy. Next up, we've got a new female tritagonist, our lowest ranking yet, that is 3, and with a green color. Now, a tritagonist is, to my knowledge, it originates from, like, Greek plays, where a tritagonist is the third most important character in a Greek drama. And now, previously that has been Flora from the original trilogy, which is up for debate, and then definitely Emmy from the prequel trilogy, which it's always been Luke, Layton, and a girl, which I think is funny, and I think we should keep up the tradition. I like this. I like girls. I like having women in my Layton games who are important. I guess Clive is sort of the female protagonist of Unwound Future, but Flora is also very important. And Flora's not even really there in Curious Village, so it's hard to know whether she counts or not, but, just new female protagonist. This could be a new character, or it could be a returning character, which leads us smoothly into our next box, which is the female protagonist is Marina. Now, who is Marina? Marina is Luke's wife from the Layton's Mystery Journey anime, and I know, we don't like Layton's Mystery Journey around here unless you do, which is good for you. But I like Marina. I can't help it. I think she's cute. I think that she and Luke have an amazing dynamic. I think that she is really cool. Like, obviously, I probably can't talk too much about it, but you should go watch the Relics Treasure arc. It's all on YouTube, if just for Marina. She pretends to be in a cult for 10 years to save her husband, and, like, I don't know, they have a really good dynamic. And she's such a cool character. She was wasted on LMJ, honestly. And I don't know, just having her as the female protagonist as, like, a teenager with Luke, wouldn't that be adorable? That could be so fun. They could do so many things with that. And the reason why I think this is a possibility, why it's not at, like, absolute 20, it's at 17 instead, is because there's this girl from the Level 5 Vision 2023 in the margins of, like, the notebook, and it kind of looks like her. Like, if you look at the hair around there in the eye shape, it looks quite a bit like her. And I kind of hope it is. I like her. I think she's sweet. And one way I've seen a fan pull this off is, um, this. This is art by Muzzable on Tumblr. Please go follow them. Their art is gorgeous. If they have any problem with me showing it in this video, contact me and I'll take it down, don't worry. But this art shows a concept for what Marina could be like in New World of Steam. Her last name would be Wells. She is, like, the daughter of the conductor working on Steam Bison's oldest train engines, and she kind of has, like, a negative view towards all, like, the change happening in Steam Bison, which is a really cool, like, that would be a really cool, like, offset from how Luke seems to be excited about all the innovation and change and stuff happening in the town. and Marina just doesn't like him very much. I think this could be really funny for like a rivals to friends to possibly lovers one day sort of situation. I don't know. I like her. I really like this concept for her where she's just generally sweet and kind and smart, but whenever Luke's around, she's just like, "Oh god, I want to punch him in the face. He's too helpful." But like obviously they'd get over that and they'd become quite good friends and learn that all they've ever wanted was to help Steam Bison out, and they love their town, and they should just be friends and get along. And this will be a fun dynamic. It'd also be funny to watch Layton just like sort of homophobic dog face, I know what you are, at them both. I am a bit nervous how they would handle a potential like actual romance between Luke and someone else, especially considering how young he is. I mean, I don't think they'd shy away from it, but considering that they've like, Luke's had like little crushes on like girls before in the games. Like I think it's relatively implied that he liked Janice from Eternal Diva. But I don't know, like the Layton fandom, or not the fandom, the Layton series has never done like a straight up developing relationship. It's always been established. Like Lay Claire, that was established and then was horribly ripped apart. Um, like, I'm trying to think of any others. There's not Anton and Sophia, I guess. They were established and were brutally ripped apart. We've never seen like a developing romance in the series, and that could be a really cool like first step, but I'm also nervous about how they do it because it has such good potential for character butchering, and I'm so nervous about what they could do to my boy. But I like Marina. I think she's cool. I think she's funny. I think she and Luke could have a really good dynamic. I feel like she could play off of both Layton and Luke very well in a trio. And I don't know, I really like her. This art is by Muzzable on Tumblr again. Please go follow them. Their art is gorgeous. Alright, next up on our list we have Steam Bison is Fake at 14 with an orange box. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Steam Bison, the city in which the game takes place in, is fake. It's not real. It is, I don't know, a hallucination. It's a fake city built by someone to trick Layton into hugging him. I don't know. Guys, we keep doing this. I know it's a meme. I know it's a joke how there's only fake cities. There's like two real towns in all of the game. But like, guys, at some point we've got to stop with the fake cities. I don't think that they're going to do this simply because of how many, like the sheer volume of fake towns there are. Like it's disproportionate. I don't think level 5 would do it again because Luke's been living in this place for like a year, and you think he'd notice if it was like a fake town. But I don't know. I have a scary feeling that like it's too good to be true. It can't be a real city. There's gonna be some way that like I don't think that they're gonna pull all the villagers are robots again. I don't think that they're gonna pull it's a hallucination again. I think it'd be more like a future London from Unwound Future, or a Montador sort of like, I don't know what was going on with Montador in Miracle Mask. That entire game was a fever dream, but I don't think they'll do it again, but I'm nervous. I'm nervous that they'll do it again, and I don't want them to do it again, because I want a real city with real lore. And I love Steam Bison. It's so pretty. Look at how pretty it is. I want it to be real. Please let it be real. Please, 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 please. Speaking of please, 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 our next box is one that I actually really want. This is Luke is a vigilante or a revolutionary at blue with an 18. Now this is probably my most realistic thing that I really, really, really want. And seeing as it's at an 18, it's not very realistic at all. So what I mean by this is, I don't know, I've always been enamored with, like, when I was first watching an Unwound Future playthrough, whenever I saw Future Luke, who I guess Clive, I was like, oh my god. I was just sort of enamored with the idea of Luke being like a freedom fighter, like a vigilante and stuff, like solving puzzles and helping people, but in a more unconventional way. And like with Future Luke, that was super cool, and I was honestly kind of mad whenever it turned out to be Clive. I'm better now, don't worry, I like Unwound Future. But I was just obsessed with that idea. I thought that was so cool, and I still do. And it would be so funny if Luke was like I don't know, they're running from something, and Luke's like, Professor, hold on, I've got just the thing to deal with this, and he whips out a gun and just starts shooting, and it's like, okay, 14-year-old, I guess 14 years old is old enough to pack heat in this town. Like, he doesn't even have to use a gun if he doesn't want to. Like, okay, sure. He can just, I don't know, be like an underground freedom fighter. That would be so cool. I sound like a rambling madman right now, partially because I am. I don't know why I want this so bad. I just think it would be so funny to see Luke, this little sweetheart, this little gentleman, just going against the grain, going against like whatever the government of Steam Bison is, and just doing what he thinks is right. I think that would be great. I also think it would go great with Layton as well. Seeing that, like, okay, my boy is doing his thing, he's doing what he thinks is right, but he's also like breaking the law. And I don't know, I think it would be really cool to see that sort of dynamic play out between them. Next up, we have more Layton trauma at a 6 with an orange rating, which means I don't want it to happen. By this, I mean you know the drill. Layton goes to a new location. He starts acting weird. Luke's like, Professor, what's going on? And Layton's like, no, I can't tell you. And it goes on, and then eventually, oh my god, it's some important person from his past. This has happened actually only 3 times, but that's half the series has this happened in. It happened in Unbound Future for the first time with Claire. It happened in Miracle Mass with Claire, I guess Angela and Henry. Not Claire, sorry, Randall, Angela and Henry. And then it happened again in Azrin Legacy with Descalay. I think all 3 of those plot twists are great. I think they're lovely. I actually really love that Layton's never, like, he's lost every person he's ever cared about, and now he has to like build himself back up to love again whenever he's grown accustomed to losing everyone he cares about. But like, guys, we got a satisfying resolution for this at the end of Unknown Future when he takes off his hat for the first time, showing that he still loves and honors Claire, but he doesn't need to cling on to that time to be happy. He has happiness now, and that's what she would have wanted. We got a beautiful resolution at the end of Unwound Future. And if somehow, by some reverse miracle, we got more, like, every part of this man's life has been padded out with horrible, gut-wrenching trauma. Like, he lost his parents when he was like 7, and his brother switched names with him and then sent him off to live with the Laytons, and he was happy for like 10 years. Then when he was a teenager, he lost his best friend. Then whenever he was a young adult, he lost his girlfriend. And then he's just lost everyone he's ever cared about, and we've taken up like all 3 main stages of his life up until now. He's Since his childhood, his teenagehood, and his young adulthood, all of that's been traumatized. There's no more room without it feeling bloated. And I don't know, it's just unrealistic for there to be something in the new world of Steam to remind him of, like, oh my god, it's like that one person I lost that one time. I don't think it's possible. I don't think they can possibly make him more traumatized than he already is. But for clarification purposes, this is more about dredging up past trauma. I'm not saying that they cannot re-traumatize him in the new game. In fact, I encourage it. I encourage that they make him sad in the new game, and then he and Luke have to get over it together. It's just, I don't want more bad things to have happened to him in the past. I want bad and good things to happen to him in the future, because he's started living in the present now after Unwound Future, and I want to see that continue. Next up, we have Murder is Actually Murder at Cyan with a 12. Now, if there's something that Layton's famous for, it's fake cities, but something that's probably less famous for, but also counts, is the fake murder. There's a lot of fake murder, especially in the original trilogy. Probably because they just didn't want to actually kill someone on screen, but also for plot purposes. Like, Simon dying, okay, in Curious Village, okay, he's a robot. Like, I guess that makes sense. But Andrew Schrader dying, I guess, like, I don't know, with like the whole Elysian box thing, I don't quite understand it, but like they open it, they expect to die, and they die. Just, I don't know. I think Schrader should have died, but I'm not complaining. I like him. I think he's funny. So like, there's a lot of fake murder in the game. Wouldn't it be great if murder was actually murder? Like, if someone just actually died in the game, like, it doesn't have to be important. It could be like an actual murder trial or like a murder case that they're solving, and like, the person's actually dead. They're not magically alive. It wasn't a robot. It wasn't a wax dummy. They just died. and the world has to deal with that. I think that would be great. That would kind of help with Layton's, like the Layton series' problem of not having to deal with consequences. Because, like, so frequently we think this character has died, but they're not. They're alive, they're just incapacitated for a hot second. Like, I didn't put them on this previous slide, but I guess that Randall and Claire also count for this because we thought they were dead for the majority of the games that they were in. Like, we thought Randall was dead for like all of Miracle Mask before he was revealed to be the Masked Gentleman, and we thought Claire was dead until she wasn't, until she was again. So I guess they also count. Just there's a lot of fake murder in these games. It doesn't even have to be murder. It can just be someone just actually dies. And I don't know why I want people to die so bad. I don't actually. I think it would be cool to see that reversal of like the Layton formula, which again I'll talk about more later. But I don't know. Just it's the same thing with the fake city. There's been a lot of fake murder recently, and I'd like to see that kind of change. Now, this next one is might be kind of controversial, but also like the opposite of controversial. We've got Alfendi at 19 with an orange box. Now, who on earth is Alfendi? It's this guy from Layton Brothers Mystery Room, the mobile game from 2013, which I have personally not played. I don't think a lot of people have played it, but the people who have played it love it. Alfendi is like a ridiculously popular Layton character. I think on like my recent survey, he and Lucy got like they beat out Layright in the ships. Like Lucy being this girl here, and Alfendi being this guy. Like they beat out Layright in the ship competition I did a couple months ago. But like the reason why I don't want him in the new game is, well, obviously his last name's Layton. He is Layton's son, and I don't like the idea of Layton having kids. Like, I'm a Catriel hater. I'm sorry if you like her. I'm glad you like her, but I personally do not. I think it raises disturbing implications about Layton's character that he would just abandon these children. Which I guess he does that with Flora quite a bit. I guess it's in character, but I don't like it. I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to my Layton. I'm sorry. I only really count the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy as canon, and I think Alfendi's cool. I think his story is really neat. I I have not played the game. I do not really know what happens, but I've heard that it's good, and the people who like the game really like the game. And I think it'd be great for them if Alfendi were to appear in New World of Steam. I think like that would make a lot of people really happy. But this is about what I want, and I do not want him. I don't know why. I can't exactly tell you why I don't want him. It's the same reason why I can't tell you why I don't like Catriel. I don't. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. But however, I did find a really cute concept for how Alfendi could be in the game. This art is by Mystery Room on Tumblr. I'm sorry, the quality looks like it was filmed from inside a microwave because I screenshotted it off of Google, but it's by Mystery Room on Tumblr. Go follow them. Their art is gorgeous. And this is a concept for what Alfendi could be like in New World of Steam. He could be like a sort of trickster type. He could be like a little street cat, I guess, who causes problems for Luke and Layton ends up like taking him home like a feral kitten. I like this idea. I would rather it not happen, but if it did, this is how I'd want it to happen. So in conclusion, I think Alfendi's cool. I think he's funny. I think he has a really cool personality and story, but I don't want him in the game. I want Layton Brothers Mystery Room to stay as it is, as like as like a cool AU. Next up, we have at least one attempt on Layton's life at Cyan with a 9. Now, for clarification, I don't actually want him to die. I do not want Herschel Layton to die on screen. I do not want that. I just want drama. This is pretty self-explanatory. I want like this could go anyway. Like someone could just take a shot at Layton and miss. They could take a shot at like Luke and hit Layton instead. Layton could take a bullet for someone. I don't know why I'm using gun imagery right now, but you've seen the trailers. There's guns involved. Like, someone could try to hurt Layton, but someone could try to kill Layton, but he just gets hurt. He could just fall off a cliff. I don't know. Just anything that kind of puts Layton's life at risk and sort of knocks the fear of God back into him and Luke. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is serious business. Like, this my friend almost died slash I almost died. I don't know, I just want drama. I want so much drama between these two. They can never be happy on my watch. Or they can be happy, but only after they've been miserable. This next one is kind of my Roman Empire in that I think about it a little bit too much. This theory is called the Flora is Egg Muffin theory, and I know I sound like a rambling madman right now because I am, but I don't think anyone else has brought this up. If you have, fantastic, let's yap about it in the comments together. But this is the idea that Flora Reinhold from the original trilogy is Egg Muffin from New World of Steam, who is like the inventor of the town and stuff. I I don't know. I don't know how canon it is that she has like intense mechanical aptitude. I feel like it's fanon at this point. Like everyone just accepts it. I mean, she was raised in a village full of robots, and I feel like there was something in Unbound Future about her being really good with mechanics. I don't know. It might just be a very popular headcanon. But guys, please, I'm literally begging you on my knees. I want it so bad. I want Flora to be able to like take control of her life. We don't know if Egg Muffin's going to be a villain or not. I don't know. Like he could just be an arbiter of change or whatever. And having Flora fill that role, hey, why not? As for Egg Muffin being a man and Flora being a girl, I don't think anyone cares. Is the thing like Egg Muffin could be an alias? People just started calling her he after learning that she's a mechanic, and she's like, "Oh, okay, fine, sure." Like this would be so cool. I don't think they're going to do it ever. That's why it's out of 20. This is the highest ranking on the point scale out of any of these boxes. They will never do this, but I want it. I want it bad. I want it so bad. Next up is Layton Culture Shock at Cyan with a 7. Now, this is a slightly silly representation of what this could mean. Like, I don't know, there's many different types of culture shock. Like, it could be Layton, like, with people's voices, with the way they talk, with, like, slang and stuff. Like, Luke could whip out some American slang. I don't know, do we have American slang? And Layton's like, what does that mean? You just said a bunch of words and I don't understand you. Or like just the way that people act in America is probably quite a bit different from how they act in Britain. Like I guess the gun thing could could be funny. Like but I'll talk about this more later, but I want again, like I said with the role reversal thing with Layton having no clout and Luke being more popular, it's like Layton doesn't really know what's going on at all in Steam Bison. Like he obviously is still like the older one, the wiser one out of the two of them, but he is not on his home turf anymore. He is like he would honestly be lost without Luke, I think. Luke knows what's going on. He's been living here for a year. He knows his way around mostly. But like Layton, that's got to be unsettling for him. He's used to always being the one in charge, the one who knows what's going on, the protector, but what happens whenever that just he just can't do that anymore? He can't be the one to take the lead and keep him and Luke safe. What happens whenever he has to trust that Luke can get them their answers and get them to safety? That's got to be hard for him. And well, yes, I'm the burgers and eagles. If there's one burger in this game, I'm quitting. I guess they've kind of already done this with Gunman King Joe. I cannot believe they named him that. I mean, level 5, I get it. It's the America game. I get it. It's in America. There's guns. Haha, guns America. But did you have to name the main villain Gunman King Joe? So, like, I don't know, just it could be either American stereotypes or it could be like deep plot relevant Layton lore, but either way, I think this could be cool. Next up, we have Murder Isn't Murder at Yellow with a 4. And I've already talked extensively about this, but you know, the Murder Isn't Murder thing, it's a running joke like the fake cities. Like, no one dies in Layton games until they do. But, like, the reason why this isn't an orange is because it's less overdone than the fake city thing, and I think it could still be really interesting. Like, I don't know, just faking your death in general is a really cool concept in media, and if someone were to fake their own death, like that could be really interesting. If someone faked the murder of someone else to get them out of a situation, that could be interesting. Like there's so many ways that this could be interesting, which is why it isn't at an orange. But I feel like we've I don't know. I don't mean to sound like I'm so bloodthirsty that I want people to start dropping dead in my Layton game, which I mean I kind of do, but like I don't know, this could still be very interesting and a very good plot point, which is why it isn't at orange. This could be cool, and it's at a 4 because I think they'll do it. Like there's no way it wouldn't be a Layton game without someone not dying. This next one is Clive exists and is redeemed at a 16. Now, if you don't know who Clive is, who are you? Clive Dove is the main villain from Professor Layton in the Unbound Future, or I guess he's the he's the twist villain, and he is an extremely popular character in the Layton franchise. Like, I think he scored third fourth on the yeah, he scored fourth on the most popular character scale, only being beaten out by Luke, Layton, and Descalay. And he's extremely popular for good reason. Everyone loves a sad boy, everyone loves a sad mad boy, everyone loves a sad mad boy who's willing to explode London to get the professor to hug him. It's good. He's a good deal of fun. He's a really good character. He has a really sad backstory, and he's just really cool. He's super smart. He's like ridiculously smart. He's a little rich boy. He goes to prison at the end of the game. And he's so cool. And I feel like having him back in the next game is unrealistic because, guys, I'm going to be real. I don't think he's going to be getting out on parole after 1 year in prison with after trying to explode London and kidnapping the entire prime minister. Like I don't think he'd be out of prison yet, and I don't think he has any interest in breaking out. But like, let a girl dream. The reason why I have him and Emmy together on this slide is because they kind of parallel each other. Lots of people have already pointed this out, that Clive and Emmy parallel each other. They both brutally betray Layton and Luke, although they don't exactly want to. Emmy doesn't actually want to at all. Clive just comes around towards the end. And I don't know, it would be funny to see them as a duo. Like, they both have a history of working in newspapers. Emmy goes and joins the newspaper at the end of Azran Legacy and like travels around the world. It would be so like that would make so much sense for her to show up in Steam Bison to be investigating all the crazy stuff that's going on there. And she has like a companion who's like this guy from prison who, as part of a community service project, has been released into the wild to do journalism again because he was a good journalist and he loved it. And they're in Steam Bison and they're just walking around, and then they see Luke and Layton, little Luke Triton, all grown up, and Emmy's like, "Oh my God, it's Luke!" and then runs over and hugs him and is like, "Oh, Luke, you're so grown up. You got to see my new friend. Hey, Clive, get over here!" And Clive is like hiding behind a comically large potted plant because, oh no, I betrayed them last year. Oh no. And then they all just kind of sit there, and Emmy has no idea that Clive and Luke and Layton know each other, and she's like, "Wait, do you guys know each other?" And they have to have like the whole conversation. But I don't know, it would be so fun. Like, even not even just from a shipping standpoint. Like, obviously I am very much a Clemmy shipper. I think they would be fantastic together. I think they're funny. I think that they have a fun girl boss male wife, but the male wife could also beat you up dynamic in the same way that Luke and Marina do. I like them a lot, and I think, like, not even from a shipping standpoint, like, just as buddies, they work fantastically well. Even though they've never met in canon, they don't know each other exist, probably. But also, further on this, I know I am the Luke guy. I love Luke. I love him so much, and I think that he was robbed, particularly in his relationship with Clive. I am an Unwound Future aficionado, and I know for a fact that Clive never apologizes to Luke for the way that he used him. Like that, and he used him on such a personal level too. Like, he pretended to be this kid from the future. Like, do you have any idea how like harmful it would be to your psyche if you're 13 years old and this guy who you thought was you as an adult was actually lying and manipulating you and was going to kill you? Probably, like, Luke probably would have died at the end of Unwound Future if they hadn't stopped Clive. So like, do you have any idea how like how many problems that's going to cause this kid later on in life, or even right now? And Clive never says he's sorry. I think this is like more of a writing mistake than a commentary on Clive's character or whatever. But like, having him in Unknown Future trying to atone for what he did with alongside Emmy, who also kind of never apologized to Luke. To my knowledge, she might have, and I just missed it. But this also counts for Layton too. Like, obviously Clive apologized to Layton and Emmy apologized to Layton, but we have yet to see any like genuine growth from them. We've seen like the beginnings of it and then they go away. So it would be cool for in Unwound Future for this to be the chance that they sort of needed to get that growth out of the way and like help Layton and Luke with their investigation or be like sort of side characters running around helping people. Just I don't know, I like them. I like them a lot. And also yes, it will create so many Clemmy shippers and I am here for it. This rare pair needs to have more than 20 fics on AO3. My next one is themes of change and stagnancy. And now this one is like pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that this is what it is, but I have it at a 13 because I don't know if they're going to pull it off exactly in the way I would. So here I have them on a scale, a spectrum, if you will. We have Luke at the far left saying that he is like I don't know, he's always been way more flexible than Layton in most situations. He's been like okay with all the weird crazy stuff that happens. Like not okay with it. Obviously he's terrified of vampires in Diabolical Box and he hates the idea that Anton is one. But he's always just been way more accepting of whatever happens. Like in Unwound Future, whenever they travel to the future, he's like, "Oh, okay. We're in the future, guys." Well, Layton remains skeptical about it. And he's also just constantly changing, mostly in his appearance. Like I'm a sucker for dynamics where one character is constantly changing their appearance and the way they act in their worldview, but the other one never changes at all. Like almost to a comical level, Layton never changes, like in the way he looks or acts. Until like the very end of Unwound Future, he just stays in the same sort of rigid, no, everything has to have a logical explanation, everything has to, I have to be able to fit it into my worldview or else it isn't real. With like him uncovering all like the twists and stuff with his dramatic Layton point that he always does. But Luke's always been like so okay with all the crazy stuff, which I think is partially attributed to him just being a kid. And then we have on the other side Mr. Seek Not a New World himself, Gunman King Joe, who I think is hilarious. I think he's a hilarious character. He's probably so serious in the actual game, but I think he's so funny. He's Layton's Republican boyfriend, and I think that's beautiful. So we have these characters on sort of spectrum of like Luke is very okay with change, and Gunman King Joe is very not, and Layton has to, like, sort of strike a balance. Speaking of which, have you ever watched Epic the Musical? Actually, don't answer that. I just want it to be along the same lines of how Epic sort of handles the spectrum. Like, we have Polites over here championing the open arms ideals, where, like, everything will be okay if you just greet the world with open arms, and blah blah blah, be nice to everybody. Then Poseidon is the rip, tear, kill, hurt everybody. You won't have any regrets if you give everything your all on your first go. Then Odysseus, our main character, has to like sort of strike a balance between that to achieve his goals, which spoilers is sort of way on Poseidon's side. But what I mean by this is I want it to be sort of in the same way where like Luke symbolizes flexibility and change, and Joe sort of symbolizes rigidity and the wanting things to stay the way they are, and Layton has to find a healthy balance between those because both of those on their own aren't great. So I don't know, it'd be cool. I like using characters as like champions for ideals like this. That's part of why I like Epic so much. It's just cool. I like it. Also, yes, I do think this is very not subtle political commentary that the guy with the gun doesn't want things to change. I think that's hilarious. I think Layton's Republican boyfriend is funny. My next box is Coindar Dies, which I don't know why I put this one on here. Okay, it's out of yellow with a 13, but in case you don't know, Coindar is Luke's pet robot from New World of Steam. He is like Luke made a little buddy who can help you find hint coins. I actually really like him. I think he's a cool character. He's got a cool I don't think he's exactly a mini game, but he's a cool game mechanic anyway. But I have it on my bingo card that, like, if he dies, I don't think this is going to happen. Like, if New World of Steam turns into, like, some New World trilogy, like, we have the prequel trilogy, original trilogy, and the New World trilogy, like, if it turns into a trilogy, which I hope will happen, that's the dream, then, and Coindar should be in all three of those, because I can't imagine that they would just kill off a game mechanic. Like, like halfway through the story you just can't get hint coins this way anymore. That would be such a waste of such a cool idea. But like less from a gameplay standpoint, more of a story standpoint. I don't think they do this just because I just don't think Coindar is important enough to kill. Like I'm sorry, I know that Coindar's one fan on Tumblr will be extremely upset if he dies, but I can't see a reason why they'd kill him. I don't know. I don't know. I guess Luke cannot have anything nice at all ever. On our next one, we have Egg Muffin is not a real person at a 9. And this could mean anything. This could mean anything at all. This could be the Flora is Egg Muffin theory from earlier, which is my dream. It could be that it's like a Black Raven situation from Last Spectre, where it's multiple people pretending to be him. It could even be like exactly like the Black Raven, it'd be kids. I'd love that. It could be it could be any number of things. It could be an alias. It could be the guy is dead, but people have been like his daughter or his kids or his wife has been like working to keep the image up. And I don't know, it could mean anything. And I don't think Egg Muffin's a real person. I think that's a really fake name. I know Layton has like a history of having extremely goofy names for their characters. But like Egg Muffin guys, are we for real? It reeks of a pen name, and I don't think he's real. I think it's impossible for him to be real. He's not real. He can't hurt me. Our next one is speaking of things that aren't real and can't hurt you. According to Layton, ghosts aren't real at a 6 and a yellow. And I swear this is the last time I use the fake and stinky thing. I promise. I'm sorry, but obviously there's a ghost in the game. His name is Kingman. Oh, Kingman Gun Joe. Oh my god. Gunman King Joe, my bad. And he's a ghost. He is probably a holograph. I don't know. He looks like one. I think he's a holograph. I think he's an escapee from the Vocaloid concert. But Layton says there should be no such thing as a ghostly gunman, which I mean I guess he's right in the trailer. But it's that little should be that gets me thinking. Like level 5, we gotta talk. There's been a I'll talk more about this later, like a little bit later, but there's been so much just oh, it's not actually supernatural thing. The vampire's not actually a vampire. He was just on drugs. Oh, it's not actually wait, what's the other one? It's not actually miracles. It's just ancient technology that buried the city in sand. It's like, it every time something supernatural or magical happens, Layton finds a way to explain it away. And I don't know, I'll talk more about this in a future slide because this is like kind of the thing I want to happen most. But wouldn't it be awesome if ghosts were real? If Gunman King Joe just genuinely was a ghost and there wasn't some trickery involved, if he was just like a dead guy. That would be cool. We've never had that before. There's never been ghosts in the games except for like maybe Claire. But like, I want Layton to have to come to terms with the fact that he was wrong and that ghosts are real. Sometimes things aren't as simple as explaining it away as hallucinogenic gas or a fake city. Like he's gonna have to realize at some point that things are different here, and he can't explain everything away. And he has to come to terms with facts that his Republican boyfriend is in fact dead. No, I will never stop referring to him as Layton's Republican boyfriend. Next up, we have Luke's parents are plot relevant. This is a very simple one. I like Clark and Brenda. They are Luke's parents from the prequel trilogy. I think that they're lovely. I think they're a cute couple. I think that they are very good from character design standpoint, other than why Clark's legs are really short. I think they interact well with Luke. They have some like really heart-wrenching lore in Last Spectre, which could be fun to explore a bit more. I think they're fun characters, and I think it's an absolute crime that they only showed up in 2 games, considering that their son is like the main character, or like the second main character. This could mean anything, like they could be plot relevant, as in they are plot relevant, like they are main characters, which I don't know if I want them to be main characters exactly, but I want them to be present. Guys, I get it. We've been in locations that it wouldn't make sense to have Luke's parents show up out of the blue. It like we've been across the world in Azran Legacy, we've been underground in fake London. We've been everywhere, and it wouldn't make sense for Clark and Brenda to show up out of nowhere. But we're in Luke's hometown. Luke's parents are the reason why we're in Steam Bison to begin with. So it would make so much sense for them to just be there. And this could mean anything. This could be Clark is out grocery shopping and we bump into him. This could be Brenda asking Luke if he finished his homework. This could be they Layton stays with the Tritons at their house and he like couch surfs and we get to see them eating dinner together. Like, I don't know, I want them to show up. Please, at least name drop them. At least have Layton ask Luke, "Now, young man, do your parents know about this?" Please, I love them. I was actually like a certified Clark hater whenever I first started watching Last Spectre because I thought he was a jerk, but then I took the whole the whole plot twist came out about it actually being Descalay and Clark was being manipulated by Twink in a masquerade mask, and I was like, okay, yeah, I actually really do like this character. Speaking of Descalay, extremely improbable disguise is our next one. Agreeing with a 3. I think this is the most likely one to happen. And it's just it wouldn't be a Layton game without a Master of Disguise. We've got Don Palo in the original trilogy, we've got Descalay in the prequels. We gotta have another one. It could be Don Palo. I don't know why it would be Don Palo. He should stay in London. I don't know. It can't be Descalay. Like, I mean, I guess it could be Descalay. Oh my god, I didn't even consider that Descalay could show up. Oh no. That's a happy, oh no, I love Descalay. But if there's a new Master of Disguise, I would really like that. I think it would be funny. It wouldn't be a Layton game without at least one fake city, fake murder, and Master of Disguise, or just fake person in general. I I just I don't want it to be Don Palo specifically. I just like him, so I have him here. So I yeah, there's got to be a Master of Disguise. There's got to be an extremely improbable disguise, or else it wouldn't be Layton. They have to do it. This next one is there is no plot twist, but in a cool way. I actually lied. This is my Roman Empire. I think about this one too much. Now, Layton is. I joke about the fake cities and the fake murder and the disguises, but at its core, Layton is a game about twists. Like, at least from a plot twist standpoint, it is the twistiest and turniest game I've ever played. It like in Curious Village, a twist was all the villagers are robots. In Diabolical Box, perhaps the goofiest one, it's that it was hallucinogenic gas that was making everyone think Anton was a vampire. The Future London one was kind of foreshadowed. That one actually makes a little bit of sense. Then Lucia's whole deal in Last Spectre, I don't remember what happens in Miracle Mask. I'm sure something does, but I don't remember. It's been a while. And then Descalay and Layton being revealed to be brothers was like one of the 16 plot twists in like the last 40 minutes of Azran Legacy. That game was insane. But like we've been doing this so much. Like there's always been a crazy plot twist. Every single time Layton's been able to finagle it to fit into what he thinks should be right. Like obviously vampires can't exist. That's not logical. It has to be drugs. Like obviously time travel isn't real except it actually is. This London's a fake, and I mean Layton's been right every time so far, but what if he was wrong this time? What if he came up with a proposed explanation? It was like what happened in Unwound Future where time travel was actually real, just not in the way he thought it was. What if in New World of Steam, like, it is true, like whatever looked to be happening on the surface is actually what was happening. Layton's like crazy explanation that seems like it makes sense just isn't what's going on, and he has to come to terms with the fact that he was wrong, and like ghosts are real, crazy things happen, things that make him uncomfortable that don't fit into his worldview happen, and he's just gonna have to learn to live with it. Now this also comes with a bit of a the Layton formula is a common term used by Layton fans, or I assume it's common, talking about how the 6 Layton games often follow the same structure. This is it as I understand it, in 8 parts. This is not entirely accurate. I'm certain someone else has made a gorgeous video essay about the Layton formula and how, like, I think I saw one about how Miracle Mask subverts it, but whatever. This is the Layton formula as I understand it as a fan. Number 1 is the call to action, which in every game so far has been a letter. 4 out of 6 times is someone from Layton's past. I guess it is 5 out of 7 times now, because the letter in New World of Steam is from Luke, but we're not talking about New World of Steam right now. 2 is the exploration of the town or area, like Layton and Luke get to wherever they're going, and they take a look around. They meet people, they talk, they get a sense for like something unsettling happening. Then 3, shocking event kicks off the plot. In Curious Village, this is Simon dying. In oh, I'm trying to think of another one. In Unbound Future, this is Clive telling them that future Layton is evil. This is in Last Spectre, this is the Spectre attacking while they're in the hotel. Like, it happens in all the games, except for like maybe Azran Legacy doesn't exactly follow this. Um 4, weird evidence starts being gathered, things that kind of make sense once you look at it, but is weird. Like the time travel stuff from My Future, the we gather like the gears in a Curious Village, and we're like, look, Professor, why are all these gears around these people that are dying? And Layton's like, and he starts getting suspicious around this time. And then number 5, we think we have the answers. This was best pulled off by Unbound Future with the actual like mysteries thing, which was meant to help us, actually lying to us, like the mysteries tab in the trunk lying to us. Like, it says that we've solved it. Evil future Layton is evil. This people are scared of Layton because he's evil. This boy is actually future Luke. It's like, wrong. This is the full story. And I think that's a really cool concept because we can't even trust the UI at this point. I think that's amazing. And then at 6, we have a dead end, which is where we realize that this doesn't make sense. This can't be true. This isn't logical. This doesn't work out. And then 7, we have the full story, which is the goofy all plot twist, which almost always involves Layton's theme playing and him pointing and or grabbing someone and rolling. It happens in every game. It probably will happen in New World of Steam. I keep accidentally calling it Unbound Future. And then 8, we have Fallout, which is we have to deal with the revelation of what Layton told us is actually happening. In Diabolical Box, this is Katya and Anton learning that they're related, or that Katya is Anton's granddaughter, oh my god. And they have to live with that, and the fact that Sophia's dead. And in Unbound Future, this is Clive going to prison and Luke moving away to America. This, in Curious Village, this is Flora deciding to leave the fortune where it is and go off with Layton and Luke. And that's the game. That's the entire Layton game, like, condensed down. But I want to see sort of a reversal of the last couple steps. Okay, so here's how I think it will go in New World of Steam. In New World of Steam, the call to action is obviously Luke sending the letter. The exploration of town or area, that is us getting to know Steam Bison, which is kind of what we saw at the Tokyo Game Show, I assume. The shocking event kicks off the plot, that is King Gunman Joe, who Luke actually seems to be quite, like, familiar with. He's like, could it be this guy? Like, I guess he's heard about it from, like, local, like, cryptid folklore. Then weird evidence starts being gathered. We don't know anything about this. And then we think we have the answers. We don't know anything about this. And then the dead end, which is when we start to realize, wait, this actually kind of makes sense. Like, there's no, like, sort of plot holes in this. This might just be the truth. And then Layton whips out his goofy plot twist, and then we discover that no, actually, it was exactly what we thought it was in 5 and 6. It's true. Like, ghosts are real. It's exactly what we thought it was. And the fallout is Layton having to come to terms with the fact that he was wrong and that he can't fit this one into his worldview. He can't like explain it away to make perfect sense to him. He has to deal with the fact that in America things are different, and sometimes there is no clean answer to every puzzle. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it makes you uncomfortable, sometimes it makes you scared, but you have to solve it anyway. Like, that would be a really cool story to tell. They kind of tried to tell that in the Catriel anime, but obviously no one watched it and people don't really like it, so it would be cool to see it told again. I like it. I like this idea. I think it will be cool. I hope they do it. It's probably kind of likely. I have it at 13 because I don't know if they'd be cool enough to do it. But I don't know. Layton is all about subverting expectations. So go on, level 5. Subvert my expectations. I dare you.
This last one is kind of silly because, it's kind of vague. I just have Luke's secrets as Cyan with a 6, and this could literally mean anything. Like, lots of the stuff on here, it could mean, he's a teenager, he's gonna have some secrets. This could literally mean anything. I don't really know why I put it on here, but it just, you'd think he's got something to hide. Everyone's got something to hide in a Layton game. And it could be fun to see like the one keeping stuff from Layton to be Luke, like especially with the vigilante Luke thing. It could be fun if Luke's like trying to live a double life almost, trying to like keep Layton away from like the more dangerous side of what he's been up to in Steam Bison, which obviously isn't going to work, and Layton's eventually going to find out and be like, why didn't you tell me? I could have helped you, blah, 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 blah. But just anything with Luke keeping secrets could be funny. It could be funny, it could be sad, it could be cute, it could literally be anything. And that does it for our boxes. So that's all 25 of them, I think. And so I decided to make a couple random scenarios with like the bingo website to like generate a couple boxes to kick in. I think I generated 10 for each. And I did 3 of these to show like if this was the actual game, how would I feel about it? So we've got our bison card right here with the following boxes filled in. Ghosts aren't real. Luke made it up. Marina, Vigilante Luke, Flores Eggmuffin, Luke's parents are plot relevant, Coindar dies, new female protagonist, Eggmuffin isn't a real person, and Luke's secrets. This one's pretty good, actually. It hits 3 of the ones I really want, like Marina, Vigilante Luke, and Flores Eggmuffin. Both having Marina and Vigilante Luke together is a really funny concept to me. Because, like, does she know he's a vigilante? Is she a vigilante? Is she opposing him in like, the vigilante thing? How many more times can I say vigilante before this video ends? Ghosts aren't real isn't ideal, but obviously there's a lot of cool stuff they could probably do with that, so I wouldn't be mad. Having Luke made it up on here is also hilarious, considering, like, yeah, none of this is, like, crazy, other than, like, Flora is Eggmuffin. That's the only, like, plot twist thing, so Luke just made this entire thing up, and Flora just happens to be here. That's kind of funny. Having Flora's Eggmuffin and Eggmuffin isn't a real person on the same slide is kind of contradictory, but also go hand in hand because does this mean that Flora is Eggmuffin and that means that he isn't a real person? Or is Flora one of the Eggmuffins who is like keeping up the public persona? I don't know. And having new female protagonists and Marina on the same slide could be like, is the female protagonist Marina, or is there a different female protagonist and Marina is a separate character who's not one of the main 3? I could like either of these. I'd like more female characters in my Layton game, so anything would be great. And also Coindar dies. This next one is Murder Isn't Murder. Marina exists. An attempt on Layton's life. Clive exists. Luke's parents are plot relevant. Emmy, Vigilante Luke, Eggmuffin Flora, Coindar dies, and Luke's secrets. Man, Coindar is not surviving this game. I'm sorry. The first thing that jumps out to me is having Murder Isn't Murder and an attempt on Layton's life and the same slide is kind of interesting because what if that was like one and the same? What if we thought that Layton died? Kind of like how I think it happens in Mansion of the Deathly Mirror. I actually don't know what happens in Mansion of the Deathly Mirror at all, but I think Layton dies. I'm not sure, but that could be quite interesting if we thought he died for a while, but he actually just came back. He shows up to his own funeral or something. Having Marina is always good. Having both Clive and Emmy is very good. That's the ideal scenario. And obviously Vigilante Luke and Eggmuffin Flora are both great. Luke's parents are plot relevant, also great. This might be the ideal scenario for me. I actually really like this. I'd probably be happy with the game if this is all it checked off on my bingo card. Or my bison card, sorry. This last one? Oh, this isn't looking good. This is this one checked all of the orange boxes, which, as you'll remember, are the ones I don't really want to happen. So we've got Steam Bison is fake, Alfendi, Murder Isn't Murder, Ghosts Aren't Real, Vigilante Luke, More Layton Trauma, New Female Protagonist, Murder is Actually Murder, Layton Culture Shock, and Luke's Secrets. Like, nothing is real in this. Steam Bison is fake, Murder Isn't Murder, Ghosts Aren't Real, nothing's real. And then there's Alfendi. But having Murder is Actually Murder and also Murder Isn't Murder on the same thing is kind of hilarious, because does this mean there are 2 separate instances where we thought someone died but they didn't? Did we think they died but then they turned out they weren't and they just actually then died, like a Claire situation? More Layton trauma. Okay, if you must. Having Vigilante Luke. I think Vigilante Luke's in all of these, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Maybe it's a sign. Who knows? Maybe I'll get really lucky. And having Layton Culture Shock and Luke's Secrets is really funny because I'm just imagining them standing side by side, Layton like gazing off to the distance, like, oh my gosh, it's so different here, I'm lost. And Luke's just like, oh no, I hope he doesn't. Mom found the YAOI drawer. But yeah, that's those are my scenarios I made, and that concludes my terrible, horrible, no good, very bad New World of Steam predictions. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this, maybe you could, I don't know, like tell me about your own predictions if you'd like. That could be fun. I'd like to get into some discussions. If you want to like Ace Attorney debate me about any of these, please feel free to. I'd just be nice though is all I ask. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good day, and I hope the game is good. I hope your own predictions come true.